Eida with full control of omnipotence versus the Black Cloververse. So basically, omnipotence is the power to bring any will to reality. Eida right now can't fully control it at all, and she perhaps never will. But if she was theoretically being able to give like full control of it, we've never actually seen to what extent this power is. Like, is it true omnipotence? Because if that was the case, then Shibai shouldn't be dead. And perhaps he isn't dead because we know that he's still alive, but he's transcended his own body. But if he's truly omnipotent, surely he'll be able to keep his old body while transcending the new one without his old body dying. You know what I mean? Like, so we can basically deduct that it's not real or full omnipotence. There is a limitation, and it's basically whatever they can think of will become real. Now, Lucius may be able to manipulate time and defeat Eida. However, if she has the power of omnipotence, she would be able to manipulate time on a greater and larger scale than Lucius could even do. Like, let's say it was her will to nullify any of his time manipulation powers. Then it would render him useless. And this would apply to the entire Black Cloververse. Like, if they tried to seal her away, she could just nullify the sealing. If Yami tried to use Dimensional Slash, she could just nullify Dimensional Slash. If we tried to use fate manipulation or any kind of other hacks using the dreamscape, basically Eida could just make it nullified. Because you're effectively saying that if Eida had full control of the omnipotence, she has full control over creating reality warping type stuff. Like, she's basically like the Scarlet Witch, just way slower. But I'd argue that you would have a hard time trying to speed scale Eida. But if it was equal stats, and you're just going off hacks, omnipotence is probably a far more superior hack than any of the hacks in the Black Cloververse. But if you can think of a better hack from the Black Cloververse, let me know. But that's my take on like full power omnipotence versus the Black Cloververse, or any verse for that matter. And I'd say the best argument against this form of omnipotence is that it's not true omnipotence, and it's limited reality warping at best. And all we've seen in the show is her reality warp people's histories and their memories. And yes, it did span across an entire world and a planet, but it would be difficult to prove that she could use it in combat. Like, you can make assumptions like, oh yeah, like she could just will away like their abilities and powers, but she's never proven to do so. So in a versus battle, if we were talking from a power scaling perspective, there's not enough evidence. It'd be the same as saying like Gojo's Infinity can block everything, but that's just not the case. The same is true for people that claim Saitama beats everyone in fiction because he one-punches everybody. It's just not proven. Like, Saitama has limits, and so does Gojo, that's why he's dead. Just like Eida's ability, right now the main limit is the fact that she doesn't have full control over the omnipotence. So that in itself proves that it's not omnipotent. The fact that omnipotent literally means to be all-powerful. How can you be all-powerful if you're limited in power? So then you would basically say, could Eida defeat the Black Cloververse with the ability to rewrite their memories? Maybe, because if like she managed to make all the Black Cloververse like the bad guys and they all want to kill each other from their memories being altered, and then she was like to be worshipped, she could probably put them all under a spell where like basically they all worship her, because her other abilities that are part of the omnipotence is the fact that she can charm anyone that comes in her presence. So if they just look at her, they're automatically in love. And the only people that are resistant to it are basically the Asutsuki or people with like the shunning gun. And none of those people exist in the Black Cloververse. So even without the omnipotence, and we just use some of the other side effects of it, which is the charming factor, her charm alone could probably solo the entire verse. And we are talking about equal speeds here, by the way. With the exception of certain people that could potentially cancel out these hacks or have power nullification. Now, in terms of like her overall attack potency, she definitely takes the dub here. Like, she just has way better damage output based off her feats and her scaling. Like, the entire Black Cloververse doesn't really go beyond like their little countries or continent, you could say. And definitely not outside their planet, so they're not even reaching planetary level amounts of energy. So the characters that, Eida scales to are already busting planets and stars and so forth. So the sheer raw power in all of her abilities will be more powerful than anything that we've ever seen in the Black Cloververse thus far. Because no one's hit with a planetary amount of energy with their attacks. Or greater, for that matter. So it's safe to say that Eida has more control over energy in general. And therefore more durability and more attack power and more power in her hacks. So full control omnipotence, yeah, there's a good potential that she could wipe out the entire verse. But if you're arguing down the line of reality warping, probably not. I would go more with the charm type stuff. Or the fact that she's like a planet buster.